Hello and welcome to another episode of Minecraft 101. In this episode, we're going to be playing around in the end a little bit more. So let me go ahead and equip my gear before I look an Enderman in the eyes and start to die. So in between episodes, I really haven't done too much. I went back to my base, got a whole bunch of stone, and then I made a little platform out into the void, because I'm going to be building an Ender today. So for those of you who are not aware, an Ender is just an Enderman farm. The design I'm going to use is one from iJevin, and I'll link his video in the description box below. But it's a pretty classic design, hasn't really changed too much in a while. So I started off by just giving myself a little waterfall drop, built all the way down to the bottom of the world. You don't have to do it at the bottom of the world, but it is more efficient if you're all the way down at y=1 or 2. And then I built this pillar out 128 blocks. Really easy, just use 2 full stacks. I'm gonna probably go out another half stack, another 32 blocks, just to make sure. But that's actually gonna be in the second half of the video. The first half of the video today, I wanted to take on an end city and get myself an elytra, because working out over the void is very nerve-wracking if you don't have an elytra. So first thing I want to do is get some ender pearls, so I'm going to build myself a little enderman proof box so I can anger an enderman or two. And that's a little loud. Turn hostile creatures down a bit more. Get back here. There we go. Okay, now that I have a couple ender pearls, I really only need 1. I'm just going to pillar up to that portal. Let me see if I can do a staircase. Toss the ender pearl through and it will teleport me into the outer end. So as far as resources in the outer end, you've got the chorus fruit, but I don't personally think that's all that useful. But what you're really going to be looking for are the end cities. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of end cities that you're going to look for. Okay. So, okay, that didn't work. Okay, I guess I need more ender pearls. Oh. Okay, that was terrifying. Almost died. So it teleported me out to the outer end. There we go. Slowly, 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 waiting for the world to generate. So you want to make sure that you bring a lot of blocks with you, because if you don't have a lot of blocks, you're going to run the risk of being just completely stranded. So I'm going to pillar out, and I'll catch y'all when I am safely on some ground. Okay, so here we are, safe on the surface. One thing you want to make sure you do is take screenshots of your coordinates. That way you cannot get lost. You can find portals back elsewhere, but I've sometimes been out here in the end and just could not find a portal back. So it's always a good idea to just at the very least screenshot the portal you came in, because then you'll be guaranteed a route home. At least a route home that doesn't require you dying. Although, that is also a way to get home. If I were really smart, I would have thought ahead and brought myself an ender chest. But, just not smart today. So what you're going to do is just run around these end islands, trying to find yourself an end city. When you see a beacon show up like that one, that is just an indication that there is another end portal. So another portal back to the main end island. You know, don't need to worry too much about them. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and I'm going to continue looking for an end city, and I'll get back to y'all once I find one. And here we go. So I have located an end city. I'm really quite surprised I was able to find one this quickly. End cities come in a variety of sizes, but what you're really looking for is the floating ship, because that's where you're going to find the elytra. So the first thing we've got is to take on the Shulkers. So I usually like to stay underneath an overhang because they will hit you. You can bring a shield and use that to block the projectiles, but I usually just end up tanking the hits. As you attack them, they can teleport away, so you just want to be aware of that. You can still hear this one. Even though it teleported away, it is still aggressive towards me. It's probably on the inside, but okay, I think I'm safe enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go out underneath. Ooh, this one's scary. That ship is out over the void. Normally what I would do is go underneath the ship, place down a bucket of water. Normally I would have 2 buckets of water, so I'd make a pool of water just in case I get hit by the Shulkers. That way I've got a landing spot if I fall down, but I guess we're just going to have to YOLO it. So I'm going to take on this. So unfortunately, you don't always get a Shulker shell every time you kill a Shulker. You can get data packs to change that, but I don't have those data packs on here. You can definitely do the parkour here, but I just find it's easier to place the blocks, and then you've got a nice solid staircase. But that's also because I really, really, really suck at parkour. With these Shulkers, you'll notice that they open and close. You want to try to attack mostly when they're open. That's when you're going to be able to do damage. And if you are using a bow, you want to only attack when they're open, because when they are closed, your arrow will actually bounce off and can actually bounce back and hit you, which is very embarrassing to get shot by your own arrow. Did anything? Nope, nothing fell below. So, see how that arrow bounced off? It was because his shell was closed. So as I get closer, he opens up. Okay. So there we go. Finally got a Shulker shell. Here we go. So probably the best part of end busting, in my opinion, is being able to get ender chests, because I mean, I will literally continue searching for end cities until I find one with an ender chest, just because it's a simple way to get back home. You throw all of your stuff in the ender chest, you jump off a cliff, and then you've got all your stuff waiting for you back when you get home, assuming you have an ender chest at home. So we can just go ahead and put loot in there. Let me make sure I have the right pickaxe. And also, if you're like me and weren't really planning ahead, you know, I didn't bring enough wood, but I have barely enough wood to make a crafting table. So as long as you've got a crafting table, you can start to craft shulker boxes with the chests that you find in the end city. Okay. I'm placing these wrong. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to continue taking out this end city, and I'll get back to you guys when I get to the part where I try to get the elytra, and hopefully I don't die on screen. So I'll be back then. Okay, so we are here taking on the ship. So there's always going to be this kind of, I guess, ramp leading up towards the ship, or a dock. I'm just going to wait for these shulkers to open up and then take them out from a distance with my bow. You really don't want to be pillaring out while they are attacking you. Come on, open up. There you go. Okay, so he is now inside the ship, which means he's not going to be able to see me, and I should be safe to pillar out. I haven't finished taking out the rest of the fortress. I literally got hit by a couple shulkers and ended up here. So I just decided to take advantage of this. I got to finish clearing out the rest of the end city to get all those nice shiny shulker shells. Okay, so I should be almost there. Yep. So there are always going to be two shulkers on the back end of the ship that you got to worry about. So just keep that in mind, be careful, and you should be fine. If you've got decent gear, shulkers should not be too much of a threat. There we go. So that was the guy that teleported. So what you really need to be careful of is being like out here and getting hit by a shulker. So there's always a brewing stand in here if you need some health potions. And then our last little guy. And there is our elytra. The chests here will have pretty decent gear most of the time, so it's worth stopping by and picking stuff up. So I'm going to put some loot in here, and I'll get back to y'all when I'm finished with the end city. Okay, so we are all done with this end city, but you might not be able to see it, but I actually do see another end city rendering in the distance. I've got the elytra on, so I'm going to pillar up into the sky. And, well, first I'm just going to climb up the tower. But I'm going to pillar up into the sky and glide over there and see what we find. And hopefully, okay, now I just got myself all sorts of turned around. But hopefully we find another decent sized end city. So I'll get back to you when I am over there. And here we are on the new end city. So as you can see, it's quite expansive. It does, I think it has a ship over on that side. Gonna give myself, oh, yeah, it does have a ship over here. So I can actually show you my usual method of taking on these ships. So I normally like to get underneath it. I'll place myself a water bucket, although this one, let's go up there. And then, I don't really need to do this because I have the elytra, and I'm just getting hit by shulkers. But I like having the water underneath me. That way, if I do get hit by a shulker and end up floating off over outside of the ship, I can actually just, maneuver myself to the water. Like I said, I've gotten elytra now, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just going to keep pillaring up. And we're going to take on the rest of this end city. So I'll get back to y'all when I'm done with this end city. And I think then it'll be time for us to head back home. Okay, well maybe I won't be getting that elytra. There seems to be a bit of a rendering issue here. That this... I honestly don't know. F3... Yeah, so this is a chunk border here. And apparently when this generated, it did not generate the front half of the ship, which just so happens to be right where the elytra is. So I guess I'm not getting an elytra from this one. You will occasionally find end cities that have multiple ships on them. If you find one of those, consider yourself very, very lucky. You could be like me and find an end city with a ship that is missing half of it. I've never seen that before. I've never even heard of that before. But guess I'm just that lucky. So I'm going to keep taking out this end city, and I'll get back to you guys then. Okay, so here we are, 2 end cities down. And I have just 2 spare shulker boxes sitting in my ender chest. I've got this box full of random blocks, but then here we start to get to nice stuff. This pick I'm pretty sure is better than, yeah, it's much better than my current efficiency 5 fortune pick. So like that is an amazing pickaxe to find. A couple diamonds, 30 or 23 more shulker shells, some end rods. The dragon head I forgot to mention. On the front end of the ship, if you pillar out, you can actually mine the dragon head. It's the only way to get the head of the dragon in vanilla. Just some random stuff, and then a whole bunch of armor. This chest plate down here was the one that I came in with. So I'm just gonna toss these into my ender chest. And then I'm going to actually run around a little bit and see if I can luck out and find a portal back. If it takes me more than about 10 minutes, I might just end up throwing everything into the ender chest and jumping out into the void. But I will catch y'all back at home base. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this episode today. I know I said we would get to building the Ender. Unfortunately, in the act of trying to work on the Ender, I died probably 3 or 4 times and ended up losing all of the gear that I had worked for episodes to accumulate, lost my elytra, lost a lot of things. So we're going to save the Ender for another day. We're going to call this episode right here. In the next episode, we're going to do some rebuilding of our gear and some rebuilding of our infrastructure, and take it from there. So thanks y'all for watching. If you've got any questions, comments, feel free to leave them in the comments area below. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya.